I always believed that I could never be in an abusive relationship, but I was wrong. During 2017, when the women in my life were opening up about their Me Too stories, my friends, acquaintances, and co-workers all sharing their stories of harassment, assault, and abuse, I was horrified and heartbroken, especially at how pervasive and universal those stories were. But at the same time, a small voice in the back of my head said, that would never be me. I believed I was too confident, too charismatic, had self-esteem that was far too high to ever be in an abusive relationship. If somebody mistreated me, then I would just leave. So the universe decided to humble me, and I ended up in an abusive relationship. And I got to experience it all. The lies, the manipulation, the cheating, the gaslighting. That self-esteem and confidence completely destroyed. And then substance abuse and violence. And when I finally got out, that first breath of freedom was not liberating, it was terrifying. I was isolated, alone, and scared. I couldn't talk to anyone because I felt I would be judged. The very first thing I did was to change all the locks, and I kept a knife under my pillow. I struggled to sleep, fearing that if I did, they would break into my home and harm me. So instead, I would curl up and cry about how much I missed them. I went to therapy, and over time I moved on. I'm now in an incredibly happy and healthy relationship with my fiance. And we recently went to go see The Shining, a movie that somehow we had both managed not to have seen before. But I was already spoiled on the movie. I knew the plot, I'd seen all the famous scenes, including the bathroom scene. And yet, despite having seen this scene multiple times before and knowing what was about to happen, there was something about seeing this scene in context with Shelley Duvall screaming that sent me right back to my own moment, locking myself in a room and yelling at my abuser to leave me alone. My fiance, a therapist, explained that this can be a tricky thing about trauma. Sometimes you can't know if you're fully healed. You can go years feeling like you've fully processed those events, and then something simple, like a movie scene, can bring it all flooding back. I say all this because it is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and as people share their stories and spread awareness, there may be others out there who thought like I did, that it could never be you, that you would never be in that position, or that domestic violence is something that only happens to women, or those with low self-esteem, or those with mental health issues. I'm going to share a little more of my story in the next couple of videos, and I hope it encourages other survivors to share their experiences, and those who've never experienced it to gain more understanding. That anyone can be a survivor of domestic violence. Even the most prideful and confident person is not immune from being taken advantage of and abused. And that by educating and learning from each other, we can encourage and support others who might be in that position to find their way free.